I went to see Ken Dodd the other day in the London Palladium, and... are you ready? OK.
Was he lovely?
He was good, he was good. Told some funny jokes. It's a pity he's not here.
Britton, and welcome to Have I Got News for You. And in the middle of the worst financial crisis for 80 years, we are all going to have to tighten our belts. Not a problem for me, of course. In the news this week, in London, the fraud squad are investigating a con man who targets gullible investors and sells them shares in non-existent banks. As the new term starts, Hogwarts School proudly announces that only one of its pupils failed the rigorous new invisibility GCSE. And in Switzerland, an investigative journalist reveals what really goes on in the £4 billion Large Hadron Collider. On Ian Hislop's team tonight is ITN's political editor, about whom a female Conservative MP remarked at a party conference, "Have him scrubbed and sent up to my room." That witty. She's alive, isn't she? Please welcome Tom Bradby. And with Paul Merton tonight is a comedian who recently argued that everybody should be forced to be gay for 2 years. All very well, but not everyone can afford public school. Please welcome Mark Steele. Right, you ready for round one?
Yes.
OK.
Yeah, get on with it.
I'm trying to be serious. Round one looks at some of the bigger stories of the week. Paul and Mark, did you notice this?
That's like a paper from 1929. It's the Wall Street crash. There's everybody going mad because they're in black and white and they've got no sound. This is not a chip shop. Will you just leave me alone? This is not a chip shop. Get out. Oh, God, I wish I hadn't done this. Bonus. Somebody's going to get a... Oh, no, look.
That would stop you swiping £14 million, wouldn't it?
Somebody slapped you on the hand.
Stop it, not now. And Iceland, which is bankrupt. I love the idea of a whole country going bankrupt. Seems astonishing to me. So they presumably, if you
fly... wait till next week, mate.
They shouldn't have changed their name from B-Jam. They were doing all right. It was B-Jams. Everybody loved them as a country. Now they're Iceland. Well, you know, what do you expect? I sort of know what the story's about, but I don't know what it's about. I've been observing it from a position of complete ignorance.
You should be in the government, then, because...
Isn't Gordon Brown the saviour of the world?
Only in the sense that if a man comes and throws you a line when you're drowning and then admits that he pushed you in...
I love the idea that this is sort of a nationalisation. For 30 years they go, we can only have any sort of efficiency if these things are just privatised, and then they go, oh, all right, then we'll nationalise everything, and people are saying it's socialism, as if George Bush has thought, what do we do? And rung up Tony Benn, and he's gone, the first thing that I would do is nationalise the banks, George. And... Brilliant idea.
You must be the happiest you've been for, what, 2 decades? Well... The left's finally been proved right.
Yeah.
Took a while.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Well, not really, because he's just bailing them out, isn't he? I mean, I think the next phase, really, what they should do, they should say to the bankers, we are going to bail you out, but you've got to beg for it. And the bankers should have to sit outside railway stations with a mangy dog and have a crate of special brew and just sit there all day going, give us 50 billion, I've lost all their money. Hey, look at that.
What I didn't understand was people saying, you know, there must be something we can do as if it's something that's completely out of control, like the weather.
No, but they're just taking it, weren't they? That's what the do is. The bankers are going, we just can't, none of us can work out what's happened. I mean, every week we took billions of pounds in dividends and bonuses, and now all the money seems to have gone. Who could possibly work out what's happened to it?
Yes. But did you hear how Poul Nyrup Rasmussen assessed the latest situation? He's the ex-Prime Minister of Denmark.
Oh, yeah, right, yes.
You know, old Poul.
This European financial market, that is the biggest and strongest economy in the world, even bigger than the American one. It's like the flies. They're not flying away from the cheese if it's so well smelling. You know what I mean?
OK, who's to blame for all of this?
He is.
Well, let's start with Gordon.
No.
I think yes. I think a failure to regulate throughout the past decade may have something to do with it.
All right, but
Getting
it's
too close to the bankers,
somebody...
spreading the cycle of greed through government and the banks. I think that's all part of the answer. The Tories.
No.
Mrs. Thatcher?
No.
It's usually the answer.
Is it Martin Peters, the man who's often overlooked in the '66 World Cup final?
No.
He's overlooked again. I can't believe they've overlooked again.
OK, the person to blame for all of this is Robert Peston. Did you see how the Mirror described him? The myline class of the economics world.
They're trying to appeal to their readership, aren't they?
It means he's, of course, ubiquitous.
And gorgeous. Sorry, I don't know what came over me there.
There am I trying to defend public school boys, and then you just ruin the whole thing.
Well, you can't change your nature, Ian, you know that. I'd say, the award for political timing, though, doesn't go to Robert Peston, it goes to Alex Salmond, who said that Scotland, time now to be independent and to join an arc of prosperity that would include Scotland, Norway, Ireland and Iceland. That was pretty good timing, I thought.
We don't have any responsibility for this?
Yeah, you can take as much as you like. I mean, all those people buying Ryvita, I'm sure that didn't help. The credit crunch.
Brilliant. Now, you alluded to this earlier, that Gordon Brown has been described by the world's media as a superhero.
Flash Gordon.
Although he looks a bit more like a villain in this clip.
And where there has been irresponsibility, we must now have instead transparency, integrity, responsibility, good housekeeping, cooperation across borders.
He loves all this, doesn't he? But about a fortnight earlier, he looked a bit like when a teacher gets, like, the kid that's got, like, real problems in the class to read something out to the rest of the class. And he looked like that, and you felt the rest of the cabinet was behind a curtain going, "Go on, Gordon, you can do it. Look at your notes, Gordon, you can finish it, Gordon." Oh, he's wet himself.
Who else is doing well?
No,
Primark?
No.
I bet they are.
They might be.
They're
There's
full
someone...
at the weekend.
You still got that job?
Yep. Can't be too careful.
Saturday job.
The United States have also part nationalised 9 banks after initially refusing. A bit of a U-turn, which is quite a difficult concept to explain. Isn't it, Tom?
The trouble is, if you keep U-turning and U-turning again, all that happens is you end up going round and round in circles with no clear sense of direction at all.
What was the thinking in the office? Was it, now, our viewers won't know what a U-turn is, Tom. It's ITV, so, you get in the car and turn in a sort of U. And maybe they'll have a sort of clue.
If there was a fall in interest rates, would you drive off a cliff?
And with the stock market, you could be bungee jumping up, down.
I want to talk about Iceland.
Yeah.
Who had their money in Udefudelanskibanski, or whatever it's called?
Councils, wasn't it councils?
Yeah, my council. We've got to empty our own wheelie bins now.
What happened to the servants who used to do it? Well, people who lost their money were Gordon Ramsay, the police, cat charities.
I read that the Cat Protection League had something like £11 million. that it doesn't need to spend. I mean, how protected do you want your cat? 11 million quid, you can have bouncers round ours.
That's what it's about, a bit of protection, do you know what I mean? Nice feeding bowl, wouldn't like to see anything happen to it.
The crisis is by no means over. In fact, according to one analyst, this could be the worst Christmas for 30 years. Tell me about it. I've seen the ITV schedules. A survey in The Guardian asks, how impressed are you by Alistair Darling's handling of the crisis? Very, 5%. Quite, 31%. Not at all, 42%. Don't know who he is, 21%. Now, that's ridiculous, because everyone knows who he is. He's the white-haired one who's always on telly. One financial institution which has been forced into a merger is the Catholic Building Society. Well, if anyone's used to panic-stricken withdrawals, it is the Catholics.
It's usually not in a hole in the wall, though.
Ian and Tom, here's yours.
This is the Obama Messiah saying if the small old guy calls me names, I'll get the really, really big guy to come and deal with him.
That's her, isn't it?
What's her name? Tina Fey. Back to the Dan Quayle years.
Oh, they're walking into the sunset.
I think this is E.T. Come Home.
It's got dirty. It's got unpleasant, hasn't it?
It has. It's got very bitter.
But McCain just looks so hopeless. And I saw one of the sort of rallies where they've got all their supporters there, and his big final moment, crescendo bit, was when he said, I promise that if I'm elected, I will put America first. And everybody cheered, as if they thought he might go, if I'm elected, I might put New Zealand first. Bollocks to America, they sent me to Vietnam to get shot down.
But he was still there right at the last minute trying to suggest that Obama was in some way a terrorist. I mean, literally, the logic seems to be that Barack sounds a bit like Iraq.
Yeah.
And Obama's a bit like Osama.
Yeah. These things don't happen by accident.
No. And that's it. That's his campaign.
So why is John McCain, and here he is, being blamed for the contest turning ugly?
McCain's big accusation was, you're very good at public speaking. Oh, that's terrible. Don't vote for Obama. He can string a sentence together. That's pretty suspect. Vote for us. We cannot.
If he becomes president, he'll go on television to make one of them live presidential addresses, and he'll just say, my fellow American people, what did I come in here for?
And how is John McCain trying to distance himself from the escalating prejudice against Obama?
Oh, there was I don't know if this is the incident you're referring to, there was a rally the other day where somebody stood up and said, I think this man is an absolute terrorist, is going to, is the devil, and McCain did stand up and say, no, he actually, to be fair, he is a very decent man, is what he said, basically, wasn't it?
Shall we have a look at that bit of VT?
Yes.
Here he is at a recent rally.
Okay, I got to ask you a question. I do not believe in, I can't trust Obama. I have read about him, and he's an Arab. He is not. No?
No, ma'am. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with on fundamental issues, and that's what this campaign is all about. He's not. Thank you. Thank you.
So he's not an Arab, he's a decent human being. Any other examples of attempted ballot paper shenanigan riggings?
Have the Republicans been telling elderly Democrats that all you have to do is put an X into a bowl of soup and that counts as a vote?
No.
No, that's what I'd do.
Shall I tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In one county in upstate New York, more than 300 advance ballot papers were issued giving Barack Obama's name as Barack Osama. How has Barack Obama been trying to reassure voters that he is an all-American boy?
Has he gone bowling? That's what you have to do to win in America, isn't it? Go bowling? Shoot moose?
You're not bowling, Ali.
He's got this very simple slogan, isn't it? Like, you know, as we've discussed, I mean, I'm all for making political ideas simple, but his slogan, Obama's slogan is, yes, we can, which is, I saw it a bit simple, but that's Bob the Builder, isn't it?
Well, he's found a much simpler way of doing this. He said the word pie really quite a lot during a recent visit to Pennsylvania. We'll have a look now, and we're going to join him after he has said the word pie once.
Pie, that's what I want. You make pie? What kind of pie you make? Sweet potato pie? I like sweet potato pie. I'm thinking about having a sweet potato pie contest here in Philadelphia because I've heard a lot of people have been saying they can make sweet potato pie. I'll put it up against my mother-in-law's sweet potato pie. All right, you give up. No, you... Anyway, they did not have sweet potato pie in Southern Ohio. So I had coconut cream pie.
Things are looking good for Obama. He's just ahead in Mississippi, just ahead of a pickup truck full of men in sheets with shotguns. Sarah Palin initially wowed the electorate with her trademark wink. A real vote winner. Certainly it made Anne Robinson the much-loved and admired broadcaster she is today. Only joking, Anne. So, Paul and Mark, what's going on here?
Well, hospitals are fairly miserable places. There's lots of people in comas. Why not train them to play musical instruments, even though they are in a coma, to entertain the other patients who are in the hospital? So basically, it's people who are in comas teaching them to play musical instruments. There's a guy that's been in a coma since 1968, plays the trumpet.
In fact, this fits in with the way the NHS is now, because they go into a group of people who are having operations. They say, there's 12 of you need an operation. We've only got one bed, so we're going to have an audition. So you can entertain us the best, then you get your kidney removed.
Do you ever do that with cats when they're sort of cleaning themselves like that? If you look at a cat doing that and make a banjo playing noise, it's hilarious. So the cat's doing like that and you're going dang, 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 dang. It amuses me for hours.
I think cats need to be protected against this sort of treatment. If only there was a league that had any money that could put that sort of protection into place. I mean...
This was legendary American banjo ace Eddie Adcock, who developed a tremor in his plucking hand. The problem has been rectified.
How long has he had this plucking problem?
The problem has been rectified by implanting electrodes in his thalamus.
In his what?
So, if you could have electrodes implanted in your brain, what would you like to be able to do better?
Oh, really? So say it again. Let's say it again. I wasn't after you something to them. OK, go on then.
You could listen to women better, for a start.
9:45. It's just so high-pitched, it gives you an earache after a while.
This is bluegrass legend Eddie Adcock, who played the banjo throughout a brain operation to help the surgeon find the cause of his hand tremor. The operation was a complete success. He never wants to play the banjo again. After the operation, he told journalists, "I've been stomped, cut and kicked, but I never went through hell like this," which, coincidentally, was the title of his last single. Since the operation, Eddie's hands don't twitch half as rapidly as they used to, much to his wife's disappointment. Ian and Tom, here's yours.
This is Gordon and Peter when their love was still strong. The early days.
Moustache is gone. First victim. The moustache resigned. Is it back? Oh, no, still gone.
No, sorry, this is the second, third, fourth resignation.
Is it?
Compulsory clapping by orders of J. Stalin. He's fallen into bad company here, look at that.
There he is, Lord Mandelson.
Marvellous.
Of Voldemort. He's actually business secretary, but he's not in charge of corruption. Because if he was, people would make cheap jokes about the fact he had to resign over his mortgage and his loan, and the Hinduja brothers the second time, and that business with the Russian on the yacht, and they'd be tiresome people.
I was in a cab when I heard that he'd gone to hospital, and it was on Radio 5 Live, and I said to the cab driver, "Oh, what's happened?" And he said, "Oh, Peter Mandelson's gone to hospital, he's got a kidney stone." And he thought about it for a bit. He said he's in quite a lot of pain, apparently. And he thought about it some more. He said, "Just goes to show there is a God, really."
What caused the problem, according to the Mail?
Drinking dodgy Chinese milk.
Yes, 2 weeks ago he drank a yoghurt made from Chinese milk. He did it on camera as a stunt to show that Chinese milk doesn't cause kidney stones. And for an extra point, in 2009, what will he have to resign for? Which other blast from Tony Blair's past came back to haunt him this week?
Oh, was this the Bernie Ecclestone?
Ah, yes.
It takes 10 years in England for the very, very obvious to come out. There was an affair where Bernie Ecclestone gave £1 million to the Labour Party. He ran Formula 1, and straight afterwards, Blair decided that Formula 1 would not be part of the ban on tobacco advertising. And people at the time said, "Look, he's given you £1 million, you've quite blatantly let him off. You've taken the money." And Blair said, "No, I haven't. I'm a pretty straight kind of guy." 10 years later, official papers come out saying, "Oh, no, he didn't actually, he lied." He's a pretty straight kind of liar. And Gordon Brown went on radio and he was asked, "Do you know anything about this?" And Brown said, "I haven't a clue about this." Again, it's since transpired that he did know about it. So there you have it.
And now they're all making TV programmes. Prescott on Class, now we can have Blair on Truth. Brown on Charisma. Miliband on Loyalty. There's never-ending possibilities.
Well, it does appear that Tony Blair may have misled Parliament over his involvement in the Ecclestone affair.
I don't think there's a may in there, is there?
It is on here, only because, obviously, I don't want to be personally sued. And here
why not?
Oh,
Ian's happy to say it. You're happy to say it, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't think it may have showed. I think the papers are absolutely clear.
Says Ian Hislop.
Of Wormwood Scrubs.
Who else was back on our screens this week, full of peace and love?
Is it you? Because I saw you in a Limbo ad yesterday. It's a sort of biscuit thing, is it?
It's a delicious little crispy snack.
Yeah.
It means you're fit enough to limbo around, you see.
Exactly. I was very... Sorry, what were we talking about? Oh, you could have given some warning. I'm all right now, I'm OK.
So, come on, who's been full of peace and love this week? I'll give you a clue on his website.
Ringo Starr.
Thank you.
This is a serious message to everybody watching my update right now. Peace and love, peace and love. I want to tell you, please, after the 20th of October, do not send fan mail to any address. I'm warning you with peace and love, but I have too much to do. So no more fan mail. Thank you, thank you. Anyway, peace and love, peace and love.
It's odd to warn people with peace and love.
Yes.
Yeah. And unless you're dictating... Yeah, it's American foreign policy, really, isn't it? I'm warning you with peace and love.
Somebody had a story about giving an album to George Harrison, saying, "Would you sign this album?" He said, did you want all the other ones as well? So he would do Ringo and Paul.
This is the return of some old friends, Mandelson, Blair and Ringo. And Ringo's not even the best drummer in that lineup. On his first day in office, Peter Mandelson was rushed to hospital to have a kidney stone removed. The nagging source of irritating pain said he felt much better after his kidney stone was removed. Also this week, it emerged that Tony Blair may have lied over the Formula 1 donation. If it's proved that he did, he will be severely punished by some German hookers at Max Mosley's next party. So at the end of that round, we have 4 points each.
That's the first round.
Time now for the odd one out round, just one between you this week. Yang Pai Quentin Massey's portrait of an old woman, a bicycle in Washington, D.C., and 50 women planning to move to the Australian mining town of Mount Isa.
Is there really a place called Mount Isa?
Yes.
Well, as in the savings scheme?
Yes.
Is it collapsed?
No.
Right. And we know who she is.
Yeah, she's the girl whose voice was good enough, but she wasn't pretty enough to sing at the opening ceremony.
So she was replaced by someone pretty. Quentin Massey's his portrait of an old crone, sometimes it's translated. So not pretty, I suppose, is the link. That bike... Oh. We're flailing here. Help me out.
I think the mining town in Australia might have been a bit desperate for women, so it's possible that looks weren't strictly 100% necessary.
And the odd one out is?
Bicycle.
No, I think the odd one out is the Australians, because they don't care what they look like.
You are right. Well done. The mayor of Mount Isa asked for women who were missing out on male attention to settle in the town where the male population outnumbers the female population by 5 to 1. He already has at least 50 applicants, and according to him, some of them are bloody attractive and a surprising number are from Australia. But what do the local women think of this?
They're insulted.
Are they, or are they welcoming? I'm going to get a break at last.
No. Paul, you're right.
Yeah.
Some are outraged at the slight, but another, Anna Warwick, warned that the abundance of men wasn't necessarily a good thing. We've got a saying up here, the odds are good, but the goods are odd. And Yang Pei was the Chinese girl who sang at the Beijing Olympics opening ceremony but was considered not attractive enough and was replaced by a girl who mimed. But what did Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, have to say about that?
Did he say, crikey, they all look the same to me?
He said, had it been me, I don't think I'd have done the switcheroo with the girl with the braces.
Good for Boris.
Did you see what else Boris had to say at the post-Olympic party?
Oh, when he defined the origin of ping-pong as whiff-waff. It was brilliant, that speech. I think the opening ceremony for the game should be just Boris. Forget all the drumming and all. We can't do any of that. Just get him on. 5 minutes, it's open.
This is our chance, without telling the rest of the world, this is our chance to turn the Olympic Games into It's a Knockout.
This is Boris Johnson explaining the origins of ping-pong.
Ping-pong was invented on the dining tables of England, ladies and gentlemen, in the 19th century. It was called whiff-waff. And there, I think you have the essential difference between us and the rest of the world. Other nations, the French, looked at a dining table and saw an opportunity to have dinner. We looked at a dining table and saw an opportunity to play whiff-waff. I say to the world, ping-pong is coming home.
All the Olympic officials had their jackets done up like that. And at the end, Boris was sort of like this. And one of them said, you have to do up your jacket. And he suddenly thought, no, I don't. I'm British.
They described him as an ex-Etonian who once presented Did I Tell You News? And the other person is the ugly Duchess painting.
She was copied for Alice in Wonderland. She became the Duchess there with the baby. Was it Tennille, the artist, who copied that?
Before he teamed up with Captain.
And the bicycle was removed from outside Union Station in Washington because a security guard said it was unsightly. Terrible that looks are so important these days, isn't it? Ian, let's remind ourselves of what you said on Question Time about Sarah Palin.
I mean, and this woman is quite extraordinary.
Why is she so extraordinary?
Well, I mean, she's the first sort of good-looking person in politics for a very long time.
And so your point is? And are you going to get out of here alive?
I think that might count as a gaffe. Can I just apologise
to the whole panel,
to everybody here, particularly to Alan.
What is it about Sarah Palin you find so attractive? Is it her glasses?
Well,
is it the way she skins a moose?
All of those things. I went on to talk about appealing to celebrity culture, but inevitably, I've been misrepresented by the media.
Yes, they have all been described as ugly by other people, except for the 50 women who answered an advert for women who are beauty disadvantaged. The mining town looking for more women is called Mount Isa, named after Isa, their only female resident. Yang Pei's rendition of Ode to the Motherland at the Beijing Olympics went straight to #1, replacing prawn crackers. The impressive opening fireworks display also turned out to have been partly faked, and there were cries from the crowd of "ooh, ah," as the display organiser, "ooh, ah," was led away by police. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Uradni List, or, to give it its full title in English, the official gazette of the Slovenian Society for the Recognition of Sauteed Potatoes and Onions as an independent dish. And we start with, hello, I'm a taxpayer and I what?
I'm a taxpayer and I love it.
It is actually, I want some perks. Thanks to the government's bailout, taxpayers now own various parts of the bank's corporate empires, which, according to the Times, include hotels, offices, seats for the Six Nations rugby matches, and certain rights over Andy Murray. I've booked him for an hour this Saturday for tennis lessons. Next. The main rule of the Sauteed Potato Society is that you must what once a week in the presence of 3 persons who can confirm this.
Eat alone.
It's presumably just sauteed potatoes.
You must...
And onions.
Yes.
Exactly.
Together.
Exactly.
Otherwise, your membership is rescinded.
I don't believe this newsletter is genuine. I mean, why would anybody, apart from as a joke... But that's in a foreign language. Show us a picture of some sautéed potatoes and I might agree with you.
They are. They're sautéing it right there, look.
It's got a blank page over there.
Well, they've run out of words on this one.
What, is there a word shortage in Slovenia?
Yeah.
Well, things are tough there.
I mean, what sort of quiz is this? How are we meant to get the answers right?
Shut up. The first World Festival of Sautéed Potato and Onions, what?
The world didn't turn up.
Mayhem as it emerges that certain people in London doubt the existence of our magazine.
At the first World Festival of Sautéed Potato and Onions, 300 members attended. Next, Butcher told his what is too what?
Butcher told his Labrador is too coy.
Wouldn't it be one of these European things? You know,
Yeah.
Sausage is too straight
Yeah.
by balmy Brussels bureaucrats, one of them sort of things, is it?
Butcher had told his wife is too friendly with the milkman.
Nope.
She's not too friendly with the milkman. It's just right, is it?
His hair is too long.
No.
Butcher told his hair is too long. I could be, yeah.
It's a perfectly reasonable answer.
Absolutely. Sarah Palin's got long hair, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Attractive hair, too.
Yeah, attractive.
And glasses.
Which are attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Butcher told his...
If the glasses and the hair were just on
sausage.
their own, would you be interested, or is it... is it just that, you know? If they were on a table, would you still be interested? Yeah,
Take it or leave it.
Oh.
It is actually Butcher told his chopping is too noisy. The cleaver-wielding butcher... The cleaver-wielding butcher told the press, I can count the number of times I've been noisy on the fingers of one hand. Twice. Visit what for joy, chatter and coffee?
Is it your local knocking shop?
It's another brilliant ministerial initiative. They want to put Starbucks in a library. The main point of a library, according to the government, being joy, chatter and coffee. The word books hasn't actually occurred to them yet. Anyway, it's a terrible idea.
You are absolutely right.
I am.
Visit your library for joy, chatter and coffee. This is the brainwave of Culture Secretary Andy Burnham. He said this at the Public Library Authorities Conference in Liverpool. The kind of event that makes you yearn for the thrills of the Sautéed Potato and Onion Festival. And finally, what for blind drivers?
Free alcohol.
Is it crash course?
Free eye test.
Speed record broken for blind drivers. According to The Independent, blind Belgian Luc Costemans hit the top speed twice on an airstrip near Marseille.
Didn't he do about 180 miles an hour?
That's
Yeah.
coming out of his drive.
So the final scores are Paul and Mark, 7, Ian and Tom, 9.
Well, yes. A triumph for the public good.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Tom have this.
That's actually, this is a exclusive on The Future. This is Peter Mandelson after it all went wrong.
John Sargent takes a kip before the nude rumba.
Is that woman saying, I've just remembered where I put my oven gloves?
And Paul and Mark get this.
Let's see, there's all those jokes you can do. We don't get many horses in here. I'm not surprised if you charge 10 quid a pint. Long John Silver's got rid of the parrot. He's got a horse on his shoulder. Is this the Nag's Head? Sarah Paley. Whew, I'd give her one. I wouldn't mind her grabbing hold of my sheepskin noseband, really.
On which note we
I'll
say...
take her up, Alaska. And if you're going to say on which note... Oh, you're going to say on which note?
I am.
Oh, all right,
yeah.
good. Oh, it says it up there.
Yeah, yeah, here we go, OK.
How long's that thing been now? I thought you were making it up as you're going along. I thought you were bright. You're very bright.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Tom Bradby, Paul Merton and Mark Steele, and I leave you with news that in Threadneedle Street there's evidence that the stress of the recent nationalisation may have affected Mr Bingley.
We'll have our job getting off that... Oh, never mind.
Meanwhile, there's evidence that Mr Bradford is taking it rather more in his stride. As Barack Obama campaigns in Dallas, there's a worrying sight at the window of the book depository. And in London, Bruce Forsyth takes delivery of his new car. Good night.
You can catch the next episode of Have I Got News For You over on BBC One on Friday night at 9. Next, here on BBC Two, coverage of the Grand Prix snooker semi-finals continues.
On this tour going around the country at the moment, and it's you get the sort of little quirks of every place you go into, and the most fantastic introduction I ever had into a town was in Scunthorpe. I got out of the station and I got into this mini. It was drizzling on a sort of dark autumny night, and the minicab driver didn't even look round at me. He just looked straight ahead and just went, "I don't know what you come here for. It's a fucking shithole."
That's the town slogan.